Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Black Post. It doesn't matter if you love it. It doesn't matter if you hate it. This afternoon, the message will be sent. Well, the Black Lives Matter organization. Some of us foundational Black Americans, I'm speaking to you specifically, that you would like to believe that this organization is for Black people. But as we look at this organization and we look at the rise and the backing and the support of this organization, we understand that this organization is a large, enormous trick bag for the LGBTQ community and most likely white liberals, white conservatives. Where they're getting their funding, where they're getting their marketing and advertisement, and most importantly, who is supporting this organization. Is it you or I, foundational Black Americans? Those who like to subscribe to people like the Black Authority, Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Professor Black Truth, TD Hip Hop America, and also the African Diaspora channel with Phil Scott? I don't think so. This channel, this webpage, this organization, I would like not to be confused with the movement. Even though that I believe that the movement, again, it's a matter of words that we try to put in action, but who are we to tell another race that already know the importance of lives to let them know that our lives matter? Are we speaking to them like they're kids? Are we speaking to them like they're illiterate? No, they have built a worldwide system of oppression, a worldwide system of white supremacy. So if you believe that you're going to teach your slave masters, your owners, people who are in charge of your everyday lives and your financial, that you can teach them anything, that your lives matter, then you are sadly mistaken. This is the problem with us Black people sometimes, that we believe that we can inform and instruct and teach people who and what we are. Well, let me tell you, they know who we are, they know what we are, and this is why they're doing what they are doing. Now, when I look at their webpage and I see their pictures, everything down to their message, it tells me that this is not for those who are oppressed when it comes to being Black. See, they use the Black Lives Matter slogan as a covering for protection for the LGBT community. And what we must know, whether you are part of that community or not, that you are B1, you are Black first. I don't understand how sexuality is put in front of race. How is this significant? This goes against everything that we are fighting for in the street. We're fighting for tangibles. We're fighting for reparations. We're fighting for justice. How is this significant? How does this movement, this organization, holds any weight? Why are we congratulating Kamala Harris? Because we understand this organization, again, was actually created by Blacks and whites, mostly from the LGBT community, because there's been some rhetoric, there's been some arguments, there's been some disagreements on almost every social platform about, is Kamala Harris Black? So of course, the Black Lives Matter movement jumped all over this, with Kamala Harris set to make history as the first Black woman vice president, which means her Senate seat will soon be open, okay? But the Black Lives Matter movement would not like to pay honor and homage to her Indian mother. And then in India, they're saying how an Indian woman became the first woman to be president in America. So both of these are trick bags, which in the Black community equals zero, zilch, and nada, because it produces no tangibles, whether in justice or in money in hand. And now, as the Black Authority would say, cut the bag. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue to fall for these things, and we don't educate on how to combat these things and speak against them in our everyday circles so we can have a real movement that produces tangibles. Now, this is not to gay bash. This is not to go against anyone or anything or any organization. But the first thing that we must understand as foundational Black Americans is that anytime you sexualize a movement, the hallmark, the base, the main point is dismissed from the very start. But before I go there and make that particular point, I would like to point out this headline right here. Join Black Lives Matter in our request for a meeting with President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris. While we are now advocating to meet with both presidential-elect, why are we now meeting with them? This is why, in a matter of very low layman words, this organization is bullshit. It's a farce. This is a fraudulent organization that has manipulated Black people and for voting to candidates who are never going to do anything for Black people, then which in turn we're going to come back and ask to have a meeting. We didn't talk about this meeting prior to the election. We didn't talk about this meeting while the election was happening, but now we want to have a meeting. What could we possibly get out of a meeting after they already got the vote? Your power, your bargaining chip, you've already gave it away. It says here, join Black Lives Matter in our request for a meeting with President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris. We worked long and hard to ensure we did all we could to vote Donald Trump out of the White House. We succeeded. Right there tells you that this organization has no agenda for B1 foundational Black Americans, for us to receive tangibles and justice. That one statement, that first sentence alone should give you all the information that you need, that you should never, ever listen to or support this Black Lives Matter movement. Never. Because they were simply trying to vote Donald Trump out of office because of his white supremacy. But at no time did this organization ever point out what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris has done to the Black community. We can talk about the 1984 anti-drug. We can talk about the 1994 crime bill. And a lot of you old Negroes, a lot of you coons, especially part of the congressional Black caucus, would like to believe that your HR 40 plan is significant for tangibles for foundational Black Americans. Again, this is a trick. This is a bait and switch. And this is just another level and tier of benign neglect. Because if you're telling me that majority of these Black people who went out and vote, and they voted only to get Donald Trump out of office, and now you want to sit down and possibly have a meeting about what they're going to do for the Black community, but every other ethnic group, every other majority, minority sits down prior to voting for a particular candidate, and those candidates tell them what they're going to do for their community, and they actually receive tangibles, they actually receive promises, whether it be in form of legislation, laws, bills, earmarks, or even executive orders. Now you want to sit down? Let me continue. And in doing so, we elect a Black woman, the same Black woman who was asked directly, will you specifically do anything for foundational Black Americans, AKA African Americans, people who are native to this land? And she simply said, no, I will never do anything specifically for Black people in this country. The first Black woman to the vice presidency. But the truth is getting Trump out of office. Again, they reinforce the narrative of getting Trump out of office. Ladies and gentlemen, if you voted and you voted against Donald Trump, they're telling you right here foremost that we're not going to do anything for you. And the problem with you uneducated Negroes who just look at CNN and MSNBC, you don't know one damn thing about what this is all about. I can care less about a Donald Trump and I can care less about a Joe Biden. What I care about are tangibles. What I care about is justice for our people. And if you're not on this, then you are highly uninformed of what you should be informed. And what this is truly about, it's about power, position, and voting is the one thing that they have already taken away from us. And no agreement prior to us voting to put their ass in the presidency. Again and again, throughout this small, very statement, it says, again, voting President Trump out of office. See, the problem is you would like to place one racist with another racist. See, one racist is all on your face and the other racist is kind of under the sheets. It doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen, because racism still exists in America just as much as it did under Donald Trump, and it still would be under Joe Biden. The only difference is one is overt and the other one is covert. It does not matter. And quite frankly, I don't care about either candidate, but what I do care about is that I love when racism is up in your face, because now I can label it. Now I can see it. Now I can deal with it. How are you guys going to handle this? This is what I want you guys to do. If you would just simply not easily be manipulated on the things that matter the most, not only to present day, but to your legacy, then you will have one iota of intelligence to understand the B1 movement, the B1 empowerment. It says here, but the truth is getting Trump out of office was not the end all, but all. The work is just beginning. We start both holding the new president-elect and vice president-elect accountable to their campaign commitments. We start by both holding the new president-elect and vice president-elect accountable to their campaign commitment. Of addressing systematic racism and by emphasizing our willingness to work with them. Family, please tell me one legislation that has stopped systematic racism. Why isn't this Black Lives organization talking about anything tangibles, talking about punishments? Why are we not referring to these things? This is the problem with this organization. This is the issue with this organization, that we're not addressing those things that mostly affect our neighborhoods and communities. And it's social economics. It's the wealth gap. It's enforcing the law. It's actually making laws and taking away immunity from the police. This is what we're missing. Where are the tangibles? Where are the actual legislation? Where are the things that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris promised, like they did to the Jewish community and the Muslim community and the immigration community and the Hispanic community? But you're like, we have Lift Every Voice plan. Have you guys counted the many times that the word minority and people of color was inside of that? And I would like to let you know and to inform you that anytime that they name tangibles, actual funding and resources, that they use the words people of color and minority, and you as a foundational Black American, AKA Black American, AKA African American, with lineage and legacy and generations that live from this country, that once they use those terms, those tangibles are then dispersed throughout all minority and all people of color groups. And once again, we fall short. We become the stepchilds of the entire nation. Understand what these things mean, because when you compare our tangibles, so-called, when you compare our plan to the other plans on a Joe Biden website, he doesn't use the word minority. He does not use the word people of color. Go check out his plan for the Jewish community. And I want you to do a simple find of the word people of color. I want you to do a simple find of minority. We understand that Jewish people are from Israel, that they're majority white, and they're also from Germany, stemming from that area as well. But nonetheless, why isn't the word minority named? Why isn't the word minority mentioned? Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is manipulation in the largest form possible. And we have to understand this. And the biggest farce of them all, as you can see here, Black voters showed up. Protect the vote. This is what we're dealing with. These are the issues that are plaguing our communities because we continue to be fooled. Black folk defeated Trump. Black folk defeated Trump. That is what they use. That is what they have. So let's dive a little bit deeper, because instead of being biased about this organization, I want to let you know what you have committed your time and money to. I want to let you know what you believe in, so on and so forth. How that this particular organization is not what you think it is. Now, here it says, Black Lives Matter was founded in 2013 in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murder. So I understand the base. I understand the sense of how this organization started. Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation is a global organization in the US, UK, and Canada. So this organization has become a worldwide thing, whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on Black communities by the state and vigilantes, aka white supremacists, aka race soldiers, by combating and counteracting acts of violence, creating space for Black imagination and innovation, and centering Black joy. We are winning immediate improvements in our lives. I have no idea what the fuck this means. To be truthful, I really have no idea what this means by combating and counteracting acts of violence, creating space for Black imagination and innovation. What about Black opportunities? What about Black resources? What about Black funding? The major problem that Black people have in this America is not racism alone, is living in a system of oppression that oozes and soothes racism because of that wealth gap. We need to understand the basis of slavery. The basis of slavery was economics. You didn't have racism. You didn't have white supremacy until they figured out how to get rich off the backs and bloods of Blacks. And in doing so, the system was created and started, and racism and discrimination are birth childs of that system. So when you tell me about Black imagination, that is not tangible to me. No one are taking our dreams. The dreams cannot be manifested because the system of oppression, because social economics is what they control. See, I can imagine things all day, ladies and gentlemen, but I can't do nothing with my imagination. I can't do nothing with my dreams because the system simply doesn't allow it. See, we need to understand when we have political positioning and we have economic position, then we can start to build and create laws that affect those white supremacists, that affects an oppression system that puts us down. Not before and not after, but we need to do that the first thing. Because those my so-called minority groups, which I hate to say because we understand that the root word of minority is minor and we're no minor thing. Foundational Black Americans are a major thing. But we need to have economic power, which actually turns into, we can actually move into political power. We need to have pressure. See, one of the things that I've learned over the course of history from our ancestors is that boycotting is the most significant thing in order to affect change in America. To affect change in America. But the one thing that we can't do as one of the most powerful, intelligent, and beautiful creatures on this earth is have unity. Is have unity. But you see what this organization is about. This organization has done a lot to change the face of what they're trying to show people. But when it says here, they used to have a lot of LGBTQ shit on this. And if you notice later, they came out with a coloring book. And I believe that they took this coloring book down because I was looking for it very rigorously before I came on here to give you this information, because this organization, again, is quite simply in the lowest form of words, is bullshit. They are being funded by white liberals. They're being funded and supported by white liberals. And as you can tell on their front page, that Black people voted out Donald Trump. We defeated Donald Trump. Do you think Donald Trump is going to be mad after this? You think Donald Trump is going to be poor after the president? He still is going to be a fucking billionaire. He's still going to be a billionaire. This is the issue with us. Someone gives us a calling card. Someone gives us a theme. Someone gives us a statement with no context behind it, and we automatically run with it. We support something because of the labeling. It's like hood and ghetto people going out and buying Prada and Louis Vuitton and Chanel and still living the projects and still not having a car. So they came up with this term Black Lives Matter and everybody ran with it. I mean, do anyone needs to tell you that your life matter? You think that the white supremacists and race soldiers don't know that your lives matter? The problem is, the point is, they don't fucking care. If they care, they will stop. And some of you might say, well, there's been some legislation, there's been some movement, there's been some changing. Anyone, please give me one piece of legislation that has been created since 2013, when this organization was created and started because of, again, Trayvon Martin. Please tell me what has been done systematically to help and assist and support and empower foundational Black Americans against white supremacy, against police brutality. Someone tell me. Give me one piece of legislation. We continue to support the Democratic Party and receive nothing in return. And as you can tell here, it says Black Lives Matter Global Network statement about Biden-Harris victory. Once again, Black people, especially Black women, have saved the United States. Whether in Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia, or Atlanta, Black voters showed up in huge numbers to turn this country around and remove the racists in the White House. Well, we replaced one racist with another fucking racist. Well, let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. Out of these two races, let's be very, very, very clear. The current racist in the White House has never made any legislation on a systematic level that affected Black people primarily and sent them to jail. While we, as quote unquote Black people, and we especially as Black women, have elected, have supported a presidency, have supported a president-elect who has created and made two large legislations that have landed hundreds of thousands of Black people in jail. And the quote unquote Black female Vice President-elect Kamala Jill Harris has put our mothers, has put our sisters and our aunts in jail with her truancy law out there in California. Are we forgetting what we really did? Now, I would not like to put myself a part of this group. I'm nowhere near, I'm far from it. Because I can guarantee people who associate themselves with B1 was far from this bullshit. Regardless if you guys would like to account her of being Black or not because her father is Jamaican. I don't care what race she is. Time and time again, she has told Black people, I'm going to do nothing specifically for you, while Joe Biden is telling everybody else, I'm going to do something specifically for you. And with that trick bag of a plan that he put up with the so-called Lift Every Voice plan, have you read it or have you just heard about it? You know, we need to be the kings and queens and princes and princesses that we so-called call ourselves, because we're not acting like it. We're acting like some dumb niggas where somebody tell you some things and you just fucking run with it. You gotta be the dumbest motherfuckers on earth. You have to be the dumbest motherfuckers on earth to take this and run with it. When I ask somebody and I say, well, what's in the Lift Every Voice plan? He gonna do a lot for Black people. He said he was gonna tell me, show me in his plan. Show me where he's going specifically to do something for Black people, because his vice president-elect is saying the opposite. Now show me in his plan. Now show me, when you look at the Jewish community, the Muslim community, the immigration policy, the Hispanic community, show me now the tangibles and resources he's going to allocate to help that group out. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. I'm a Black man and I know my Black life matter. I don't need to start a movement. I don't need to paint murals on the street. See, the problem is sometimes we get so caught up in a movement. Sometimes we get so caught up in protesting that sometimes the only thing you need to do is nothing. Just do nothing. Oh, well, we got to vote because our ancestors died for us to vote. No, motherfucker, our ancestors died for us the right to vote. See, your vote is a power piece. If this was chess, whether you was a pawn or a knight or a rook or a bishop, you have a place. You have a power position, whether to move or not to move. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If you are a chess piece, and this is a game of chess, if you never move, you never play the game. If you never move your piece, you never play the game. Again, we again support every group of people except ourselves. I'm not saying that we shouldn't pay notice to what's going on in Nigeria with the SARS movement of their police activity. As Black Lives Matter, we recognize and affirm the sanctity of all Black lives everywhere in the world, following the murder of an unarmed civilian by the Special Anti-Robbery Squad unit of Nigerian police. Young people and across Nigeria have held protests denouncing years of brutality, torture, abductions, and killings. Demonstrations mark one of the largest Nigerian protest movements in generation. And unfortunately, a lot of the coons in America are Nigerian. And this has nothing to do with the suffering and police brutality that this group SARS has done to their people. I would like to make out a point. When are we going to solely work on us? When are we actually going to do something for ourselves instead of we include everybody else in everything we do, which then again diminishes our resources and everything that we have accumulated in order to fight police justice in this country. I like for you to go out and visit Twitter and look at all the things they're saying about foundational Black Americans and that we're lazy and we're dumb and we're this and we're that. And most of these people are from the Caribbean and Africa. They don't know our struggle, but we need to coincide. We need to understand. We need to be compassionate and have empathy for their struggles. Now, as a person who believes in Pan-Africanism, but there's a time for that. That time is not now. We need to actually work on our tangibles. We need to actually work on our justice. I'm not saying that we should not recognize what's going on, but we should not waste any resources. But Black Lives Matter. And as you can tell, as we're going through these news statements, that this movement is beginning to become more and more female-based. Now, last time I checked, when I looked at Ice Cube's interview with Vivica Fox and some other lonely Black women on the Soul, the Fox News Soul, some, I don't know what it is, from BET. They was talking to Ice Cube, and Ice Cube said, yeah, this is my contract with Black America. And it was talking about tangibles and funding and resources. And they were talking about, well, where's the part for Black women? And then Ice Cube said, well, it's the contract with Black America. It includes, it's all Black people. It's like, well, there's no part for Black women. It's like Black people or Black women. And they actually said no. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand that the white supremacists in this country, all of them don't wear hoods. All of them are not part of the Million MAGA March. Some of them are your everyday suit wearing, smiley face people that you go to work with. Just because they smile in your face, just because she gives you a hug, just because he shakes your hand, does not mean he's not a white supremacist. Why do you need white approval? Why do you need a white person to pat you on your head to say you are intelligent, that you are something, that your life matters? Again, this is a slave mentality. They're the master, you're the slave. And when they pat you on your little head, you felt you done good. See, you're the true Sambos. You're the true coons. And you don't even know it. That's half the part. Some of you are a little slow, that you don't know that you look for white recognition because you somehow go into work and you start to operate in your subconscious mind without being conscious. It's almost like you brain dead. Watch and share the Black Women Are Divine video. 2 weeks ago, people around the globe came together to participate in Black Women Are Divine Weekend, a reclaiming of the name of Breonna Taylor. Thousands of Black women and people who love Black women made their love real, from healing justice weekends to virtual brunches to physically distant celebrations to many from gift giving to our social media takeover. Black Women Are Divine Weekend was one of the most uplifting and affirming events in recent memory. We've made a video to celebrate the weekend and hope you'll take a look and share it. Has anyone heard of George Floyd? Now, we understand that Breonna Taylor became a big story based upon the death of George Floyd, which was one of the largest worldwide events that occurred, that so many countries were supporting that movement. See, even though they started back in 2013 with Trey Martin, they have yet to really focus on what's at hand. Let me move on. See, we understand that this organization most likely was created to vote Democrats into office. Statement by Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation response to Trump's stand by debate comment. Everything is against Trump. Everything is about Black females, whereas though we as Black people, we need to be unified regardless of your sex and or sexual orientation. But we understand that this organization has been created by the LGBT community and most likely white liberals. Now, let's talk about this, because before they wrote this about statement, what this organization is about, this is what this organization is really about. We are expansive. We are a collective of liberators who believe in an exclusive and spacious movement. We also believe that in order to win and bring as many people with us along the way, we must move beyond the narrow nationalism that is all too prevalent in Black communities. We must ensure we are building a movement that brings us all to the front. What does that mean to you guys? A bunch of fucking words. I know. Let me move on. Reaffirm the lives. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I really want you guys to pay attention to. Can I blow this up, family? Let me blow this up, because this is something that I really, give me 1 second here. This is what I really want you to see here, family. We affirm, we approve, we confirm, we justify, we support the lives of the Black, queer, and trans folk, disabled folk, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all Black lives along the gender spectrum. Our network centered those who have been marginalized within Black liberation movements. What does this mean? Can anyone define what this statement means? If this is Black Lives Matter, then how's it subjugated to Black, queer, and trans folk and disabled folk? There's Black people who are disabled. Why is it that we now have to detail certain sexual orientation and disabilities within this movement, even though whether you're in a wheelchair, on crutches, on your deathbed, you're still Black? Then it goes into, again, diminishing their vision, diminishing what this organization is about, or quite frankly, the transparency in this statement alone should tell you what this organization is really about. It says folks with records. It says undocumented folks. Black Lives Matter. Let me think about this. This is a US grown organization, but unfortunately, where people don't understand that one of the founders is from the Caribbean. So we understand where that went. We understand that what the Obama administration tried to push on Kenya, try to have them to start to accept, okay, the LGBT community, which in Africa, they really demonize such behavior, okay? And then the fact is, it doesn't even matter if I agree or disagree, but who the fuck are we to go into another country and tell them what to do with their people that are LGBTQ? This is disheartening. This is disappointing, because you thought that you were supporting an organization that was going to fight for your rights, that was going to support your narrative of tangibles and reparations, that was going to try to give you justice. But as you can tell here, they would like to affirm the lives. Now, whether you are gay or straight, if you're Black, then your life matters. So if you're going to make an organization that says Black Lives Matter, now we're trying to make it though your gender, your sexuality doesn't matter. So we must affirm, we must support, we must accept, we must fight, we must empower Black, queer, and trans folk. Huh? Undocumented folks? Who the fuck are those? See, and this is why, as foundational Black Americans, we can't support organizations like this, because they're supporting everybody else. Because as you can tell, they start off with Black queer. Then they said Black queer and trans folks, but not Black queer and Black trans folk, and Black queer and Black trans folk, and Black disabled folks, undocumented folks. Automatically, this organization is fighting for what one of the founders are truly are. That's Caribbeans and Africans. And again, I told you before, I believe in Pan-Africanism, but if you're going to start an organization that supports Black people in this country, you understand that your power base will be greatly disseminated and diminished when you start supporting everybody else, because now your vision is flawed. Now your mission statement is flawed. Everything you do is a trick bag and fraudulent and a form of manipulation, because you're saying undocumented folks. Undocumented folks. Then you said folks with records. What records? Women. Women again. So what is this about? Is this a women movement? Is this a gay movement? But I really thought this was a Black Lives Matter movement. Because at the end, you tell me what you're all about. See, you know, ladies and gentlemen, when you support some things right off the top of your mind, you say those things what are most important to you first. You save all the others for last. So the one thing they mainly support is Black queers and trans folks. Second, disabled folks. Thirdly, undocumented folks. Fourth, folks with records. Fifth, women. Then lastly, but not least, all Black Lives Matter. I guess that includes men. I guess. I don't know, Vivica Fox. Does it include men? As Ice Cube. I don't fucking know. Along the gender spectrum, our networks and those who have been marginalized within Black liberation movements, who have been marginalized within Black liberation movements. Again, what does that mean? All Black people have been marginalized globally, nationally, state by state, city by city, town by town. What in the hell is this Black Lives Matter organization talking about? We center on those who have been marginalized within Black liberation movements. Black liberation movement, Black freedom movements? The entire race of Black people have been marginalized. Get the fuck out of here. We are working for a world where Black lives are no longer systematically targeted for demise. How are you working on that? See, I know what you're all about, but how are you doing that? Where are you going? What laws are you fighting for? Where is your support coming from? We affirm our humanity, our contributors to the society, and our resilience in the face of deadly oppression. Okay. The call for Black Lives to Matter is a rally cry for all Black lives striving for liberation. Well, Black Lives Matter organization, blacklivesmatter.com, I'm not crying for nobody. Until Black people, foundational Black Americans get what they want, I will hold the vote, stop the vote, shout the vote, but I'm not voting for one goddamn thing, because what you guys are doing are some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. That now you want to sit down Now you want to sit down with the two president-elect to now talk about systematic racism. This is the organization that you guys are behind. Tell Governor Newsom he must appoint a Black woman to the Senate. I feel like white liberals mostly, but I'm pretty sure there's some GOP candidates in there, but white liberals mostly have divided the Black family where, like they did in slavery, where they made the woman the head of the household. And now that things are being ran totally and obstructively against the order of a household, is that women, I'm not saying they're incapable of being leaders. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, have you noticed the attack on the Black family once again? In slavery, this occurred where they separated the Black family. They separated the Black husband from the Black mother from the Black kids, and so on and so forth. They understood that in unity and in numbers, that we are powerful and that we are strong. There's so many things that is plaguing our community, whether it be social economics, whether it be illiteracy, education, whether it be brutality with enforced race soldiers with badges or thugs with badges that Professor Black Truth says. There's so many things that are plaguing our community. To have an organization that goes against everything that we could and should be fighting for is detrimental to our legacies and to our generations to come. Family, Black people, foundational Black Americans are not a monolith. We're not a single entity that walks the same, talks the same, thinks the same, acts the same. But as, of course, Joe Biden, your president-elect, said that unlike the African-American community, the Hispanic community is diverse. Yes, this is the president-elect. And it amazed me that even though out of all the minorities, they still try to divide Black men and women, and Black men still voted more than any other minority to help select President Joe Biden and elect Kamala Harris. But they're still using how the Black women, and this is still a message to our families and unity of how you can easily separate Black families by rhetoric on mainstream media. And I know some people who will never turn off CNN. I know some people who will never turn off MSNBC. So they reinforce their brainwashing. Hopefully one day, 20, and if we're so lucky, 50% of us will understand that we will continue to be lied to. We will continue to be tricked. We will continue to be manipulated because of the things that we subscribe to and we listen to, because it doesn't go with our inner narrative. But we understand that a lot of us can be very selfish. A lot of us can be very selfish. But the one thing that we all should be looking at is, what can we do right now? Not only for those who come after us, but for us who are still alive and well. And if you believe that simply voting out Donald Trump, you believe if you support a movement like the Black Lives Matter organization is going to do something for Black people, well, I would like to see what you think in the first 100 days what your two presidential elects do for our people. Because as Joe Biden said, Black people saved him and helped him to become President-elect Joe Biden. So unlike the East Indian community, the Jewish community, and the Hispanic community, Black people once again, majority, voted for the Democratic Party. And with that, the Democratic Party did not promise, did not tell, or share anything that's tangible to our communities to help them to get out of the position that they're in economically, and nothing having to do with justice. And quite frankly, he did not only said he wasn't going to defund the police or decrease the police budget. He said he's going to increase the police budget by $300 million. So the thugs with badges can have more gadgets and weapons and toys to lock up innocent Black people. So I hope you are happy with yourselves. For those of you who have supported the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or the Black Lives Matter organization. See, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to even understand what I'm talking about. But the one thing I want you to take from this is I want you to see these first 100 days, rather the first year of this presidency. And I want you to really research and look at all the headline news of what may be occurring to other groups that are smaller than the Black community and the tangibles that they will get versus the tangibles we will not get. This is the Black Post. No matter if you loved it, no matter if you hate it, the message was delivered.